Hey guys, excuse me. This is your registered nurse Richard Ogachi, and this morning, um, back again. This is my YouTube channel. I'm here today to make a video for you guys, and I hope this is gonna be a good story, or at least an experience that I'm gonna share, and hopefully you'll be motivated and be encouraged. And then as you keep pursuing your dreams, I pray that all your dreams become true. So today I wanted to delve into, as you all know, I moved from Kenya. I live in the US now. As a registered nurse, I've talked about my transition just a little bit, and I've actually given highlights about my interviews and the experience around getting the visa. So you can watch my videos, my earlier videos. But now today I'm gonna delve into the experiences that I've had in Kenya as compared to the US. As I can start the conversation at least by trying to give you an overview of why I think the US is the best country in the world. So let me give you background how I started my nursing career. So when I got employed the first time by the Ministry of Health, I was posted in a facility that is in Mathare slums, Nairobi. I worked in that facility for a couple of years. And initially, even I had not had an indirect interaction with people living in the slums. So that was a shocker to me. Initially, when I was reported there and looked at the facility, I actually told them, or I didn't even tell them actually, I knew I was not going there. But after going there, my supervisor told me that you just keep going as we look for your deployment to a different facility. So I continued going there as I wait for the transfer to a different facility because I didn't like it. It was a very dangerous area. Not many people wanted to be posted there. Actually, we were posted there because they only posted men there, because of course there were a lot of security risks, they said, of course. And I realized later that there was a lot that goes on there, and you would deal with a lot of people who sometimes you could meet not very good people, because even my colleagues ended up losing their phones. I lost my phone one time. Someone actually stopped me and asked me to give them my phone. So I lost my phone too that way, broad daylight, in the afternoon when I was leaving work, going home. So my experience working in that facility gave me insights about what happens in the slum areas. So I was taking care of mostly children. It was a maternal child health clinic and even outpatient curative services. And we were four people actually posted there. So I never actually even left the facility. I got used with that kind of life. And then I never even wanted to be transferred from that facility anymore. I ended up working there for a long time. And now that gave me the insight about a slum life, what happens there. I interacted closely with people and how they live their daily lives, the mindset around the slum area, mostly people who live in dilapidated houses. And what was surprising to me was the kind of processes, how people take care of their family, how they prepare food. I was so much interested because we were giving health education on food preparation. So I was teaching kids, and we went to people's houses to teach them about hygiene and food preparation, best practices for food preparation and assessments. And then mostly also we did like vaccinations, mop-ups. We did many for polio vaccinations, measles vaccinations, and then that's general immunization outreaches, family planning outreaches, and HIV testing and counseling outreaches, TB screening, because also those areas we have like more people have this kind of, there are more people have communicable diseases because of the kind of housing, the ventilations for example, TB, airborne transmissions, airborne transmission diseases. So I realized after a while that people who live there in the slums, they usually like give their kids like money for lunch. They give them money where they go buy the food, and even the whole child upbringing and care is a whole different way they do it. So most of the kids were being given 20 shillings. 20 Kenya shillings is 0.00 something, just minute. It's less than like a cent. It's the equivalent of $1, just 0.00 something dollars. So that was the lunch for the kid. And so most of the kids like had to be given their $20 or $10. I think lunch was mostly for kids. I don't know if it was at least not more than 30 shillings. So you see, most people just let you give them 20 shillings, they are good for the day. The kids are mostly outside. Kids are playing outside. They are going to the trenches and they play soccer. They go play, and just the parents don't care. Like most of us growing up, our parents didn't really care. You just were told in the morning, you just out of home, you go take care of cattle and goats and whatever, and then you come back maybe during lunchtime or in the evening at night. So most of the kids, like, people don't care about where the kids are. Kids just go out and go stay out. They play with other kids like for the whole day, then come back at night or because they had already been given like lunch in the morning. They are supposed to be outside the whole day, maybe, unless maybe they are going to school. So when you look at the kind of mindset around those places, and by the way, even mostly I used to like to ask myself questions. So actually, so the kind of like drainage systems, the kind of housing, the kind of flooring, like house floors and roofing and ventilations, such kind of life and housing is not the best. But you know, there's so many people still living there. We have still people living in Mathare. We have people in Kibera, you know, and like, so the very first time I had that experience, I was like, these people, they originally have where they come from. Like, if it's their ancestral homes, they should be able to maybe go back home, because really the conditions are not good. But you see, in Nairobi, for example, most people, like, you know, you have to stick in the city because we all believe that in the city is where you get opportunities. In the city is where you can get connections, is where you can get jobs. Other cities, you know, there are no jobs. But in Nairobi and the slum, you know, that's where it's cheap to live. You can get cheap food, you can get cheap housing, but still the conditions are not the best. But you know, there's so many people who've come out of those conditions and they've done so well in life. They've made progress, they've made a lot of impact, you know, so many people, like we even know, like member of parliaments coming from those places, living in those conditions, and those who represent them, they also come from the same area at times, because sometimes I've seen people come from other places and take territory, say that they are from there. Maybe if they have origins or they have people live there, they know they can go for it. But in the most part, there are people who've lived there and they understand the game, they understand the dynamics around the slum areas. So you have those kind of challenges. You have mostly communicable diseases are mostly prevalent. They are higher in those kind of environments, and like the rate of infections still is high and spreads very high. But when you also look at even the whole mindset around infrastructure, they've done so well with infrastructure right now, because they've made it accessible, roads and nice roads. They're still nice roads, but still, like what the president is doing with affordable housing. They are building houses in Mukuru, kwa Njenga. They are building houses in Kibera. They are building houses. I don't know if they are building for Mathare area, but I hope they are. But you wish that at least people can have different kind of experience, get better life, get supply of clean water, like the way the way people get electricity in that area. Like I don't think, most of the time, the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, they used to come to do surveillance, and most of the people have illegal connections. And sometimes there could be like power, like outbreak, power could break in houses, and they find most of the houses would be burnt down. But it's a whole thing. They have illegal connections for water. It's a different ball game. And there's a specific area where they produce the illegal liquor, the changa, the illegal brew, local brew. They process, and they have I think it's preservatives that they put, which is just crazy, like crazy kind of what people do to preserve the liquor. And you see people just drinking. Of course, it's what it is. You never know what people are experiencing. We don't judge them. You don't know why they are there. But yeah, you wish that people can get to experience better life. People can get to experience at least a difference. Like, how can they transform their life? How can they get something different? How can they get, especially kids? What was hurting most was, you have people living with their own kids, and they have single rooms. They go to the toilet. Their toilets is another thing altogether. There's no clean water. There's the kids. It's sometimes when it rains so bad, you find that those small houses are so cold. But people still surviving. They want to stay in the city. They want to see if there's a chance coming, and like when they are in their homes, because some of the businesses people do in those areas are out of, they have more people buying foods, they have electricals, they have construction shops, they have supply of construction material, the kind of environment. So when you look at that, now I worked there for a while, and then now I transitioned and moved to the US. And when I moved to the US, and then try to look back, okay, so what is going on here? What is the situation like? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, the differences. And so my proverbial statement, or the connotation, my proverbial statement that I use often to refer to the US, I call the US options, where people have, this country is so blessed that people have options. Like, if I always like trying to compare, I don't know it's a good idea to compare, but you just encourage to learn from somebody who is ahead of you. And sometimes people who've been in the US for so long, I think they've also, maybe immigrants, they tend to forget. I'm also trying to lose touch, but it's what it is. Sometimes, you become like complacent. You think when you get used to with something, you find fault, and then you think maybe the place that you moved from, things have gotten better. But when I look at the US, as compared to the situation that I've described, and then look in the US, so when you have kids, for example, I resonate a lot with underdogs. Underdogs are 95% who access healthcare in government facilities. They are the majority. They are the low income or medium income people. You see, when you look at the equivalent of the US, low income, medium class, what exactly, like I've always asked myself, like, how can I get to see the poorest uh, place or village or area code in the US? I want to see that. Like, you guys can put in the comment section which is the poorest place where I can like go and see poverty in the US, where like poor people, like really a poor community where they need help or they don't have resources. When you look at the most of the places that I've visited, a few places that I've visited, I haven't seen like poverty. There are people who are poor in the US, as they say, of course, as referring to the American standards, of course. There are people who are poor, but when I look at the poverty aspect of the US, sometimes it's hard to understand. But again, there are different mindset around poverty. Like, how do you define poverty when you are in the US? Like, one of the story that fascinates me. Yeah, so there's this example or testimony or just a testing that is done by Steve Harvey, the popular media person in the US. He always talks about him being poor, when he was having problems, he didn't have money. He always talks about sleeping and living in a car. Come on, like, so when I hear him say that he was living in a car, he was sleeping in a car, I mean, like, people who sleep in cars, if you have a car in Africa, you're pretty much doing well. And even sleeping in a car, it means you even like sleeping in really a good place. But when you are coming and getting from the mindset of the US, that's considered poverty. Like, you don't have a house, you don't have a nice place to live. Most people sleep and live in houses, good houses, and they have resources and they have support, that you are able to get support for housing and livelihood and food banks, and whatever money people get from government and unemployment, that you have systems to support and help you at least live a dignified life. And then, so when I look at that and compare and look at what people are doing, really, I believe that, there is a big disadvantage when you are trying to get yourself together and you compare kids from Africa, especially poor kids, with people who are born and are living in the US. So what I usually say is, the kid who is born in the US, in terms of making in life, whatever that means, how people define it differently, the people who are born in the US, they already are 50% up. In terms of making it, like, you have already, the kids who are born, they already have 50%. The remaining 50% to at least make to 100 is what they need to figure out. But already, they are an advantage. They are already in an advantage. And this is just appreciating the fact that, especially like looking at what is going on in the US, like, I see people complaining and saying, oh, hell is breaking loose and things have not been this bad. Of course, things maybe were better then or before, but again, still, you stand a very good chance being in the US. And then, like, for example, we have a lot of things that are going on, like kids are suffering from depression and anxiety, and they are restless because hell is breaking loose. Like, let me talk about, for example, high school kids. I had never been to a space where high school kids go to work and have income. Whatever amount they're making, they're coming from their home. At least they're able to get what they need without having to bother their parents, or at least they are trying to figure out their own life. High school kids have jobs in the US. They go to work and show up, and whatever amount they're making, $10, $11, $12, whatever amount they're making, at least they're getting to get used with the kind of jobs and employment spaces. I work with some high school kids who are working as certified nurse assistants, and they are hard as nails. They're going for it. Some of them are so motivated. Of course, they're saying that most of them also don't want to work. I mean, if you don't want to work, or you have really bad problems, and you really, like, hell is breaking loose on you, then, and you are in the US space, then just go home. Just go home. You're never gonna make it anywhere else in the world. Just know that you are at an advantage, and that when you are born in the US, you are like advantaged, because you can access, you have support, you have help, you have systems that are gonna help you to thrive. So guys, please, thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. Let me just stop here, and this is just motivation. This is sharing experiences, comparing, learning from the best, getting to influence and get to share these stories so that they can help somebody somewhere. Thank you so much. Remember, kindly follow my YouTube channel. This is Richard Ogachi. Remember, this is a platform where we're sharing stories. And remember, I'm a registered nurse, and I hope this is gonna create some insights, and also get to learn and get motivated. We're bumping up this. We got this, guys. Thank you so much, and see you next time. God bless you.